Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm, and you are watching 11th part of What If Naruto Was the Black Dragon of Apocalypse. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Everyone just kept staring at the older version of the Shadow Dragon Slayer, completely dumbfounded. They didn't think they'd see anyone else from the future besides Mirai Lucy. What is happening? But not everyone was confused when they looked at Rogue. Some looked at the man with mistrust, and others looked at him with anger. The last looks came from the remaining Garo Knights as they stood back up to glare at the older Shadow Mage. "You cretin. What did you do to our comrades?" Kamika demanded. Rogue smirked. "Wouldn't it be interesting to know?" As they charged at the older teen in front of them, the three knights roared. Future Rogue was smiling and laughing the whole time. Wendy's eyes get big with worry. "Wait," she said, "it's a trap." But it was too late. Kama tried to bring down his blades while Cosmos sent out her vines and Kamika sent out a few of her magic papers. But Future Rogue just raised his arm, which had a shadowy glow around it. With one swing, he broke up all the attacks coming at him and sent his would-be attackers limping and unconscious several feet away. Everyone was shocked at how easy it was for Future Rogue to kill the last Garo Knights. Everyone gets nervous as they get ready to fight, but they are all surprised when Future Rogue just laughs. "Relax. I didn't come to this place to fight anyone." The idiots on the ground would never listen to logic, though. "You should all know this. If you didn't come to help us, why are you here?" Mira asked with a skepticism in her voice. He gives them a small smirk while tilting his head. "To throw open the door." "The door?" asked everyone in surprise. "Don't you mean the Eclipse Gate?" Lucy asked, and Future Rogue gave a nod. "You're right. The Eclipse Gate can be used in two different ways. The first way makes sense. It can be used as a way to go back in time or to the future. The Eclipse Cannon is the second way. This is the only weapon that could beat the 10,000 dragons." "What?" everyone yelled in surprise. "It can beat the 10,000 dragons?" Mirai Lucy thought she heard a scream. Why hadn't she heard about this before? "Oh, you're on our side?" Yukino asked, sounding confused. "Now we can kill the dragons." Happy came out of Natsu's mouth. Lucy groaned. "Thank goodness." Wendy's eyes got really wide. "Hang on." She asked in a suspicious way, "What's the catch?" "It's not as easy as you all seem to think. From where I came, the world is completely ruled by dragons 7 years from now. Only 10% of people are still alive, and they live in constant fear of being wiped out." Several people muttered, "That's sad to hear." "And at the very top is Acnologia, who will rule that world in the future." Everyone yelled, "What?" in shock and horror. Future Rogue nodded. "You're right. Acnologia is the most powerful person in the world, and no one can challenge his rule. Those who dare to try are completely wiped out. What's up with Zeref? What about Kaiju? Which gods? What could they not do? They all did everything they could, but nothing worked. The gods didn't look like they cared enough to help. But there was one thing about Acnologia that I and a few other people noticed." Everyone looked confused and tilted their heads. "What happened?" Happy asked while Future Rogue made a sad face. After the GMG, something had changed in Acnologia. He was much rougher. More cruel in the way he tore his opponents to pieces. He didn't even look like he enjoyed it like before. It seemed like he finally lost it and is now always angry at everything and everyone in his way. When someone asked him why he had changed, he always gave the same answer. "You took everything that was important to me, so I will do the same to you all. This world has treated me badly enough, so I'm done with it and everyone in it." "Oh Daddy." Wendy was sad because she knew why her father had changed. "Watch out, Wendy. I have no faith in this person at all." Wendy mentally nodded. "Agreed. It's similar to how we felt about Arcadios, but I can see that he's hiding something bad." "What happened with Naruto Marvel?" Natsu asked. Future Rogue gave a shoulder shrug. "No one is sure. After the GMG, they never heard from him again." He groaned. "Back to the issue at hand, we need to stop this because no one else can fight a dragon right now, no matter how powerful your magic is," Rogue said. "You're wrong about that. I bet if we all help each other, we can make it work." Natsu answered back in a sure way. He turned his head to the side. It isn't that easy. Someone stopped the gate from opening on this day, and that decision led to our death. What are you planning to do with this person? Mira asked this question with fear. Simple. They are going to die. Future Rogue answered with a grim face. Several of the mages jumped, and Wendy and Loke's eyes grew narrow. Don't you think that's a bit much? Carla inquired. This person should be stopped in another way. Lucy made a plea. Words alone can't always change a person. This person has to die so that millions or billions of other people can live. Who's this person, anyway? Natsu asked. As Future stared at the group, and one person in particular, everyone got nervous. You are that person. Lucy Heartfillet. Rogue yelled out as he sent a shadow blade at the stellar mage. Lucy. No. Squelch. Gaw. Everyone was shocked and scared to see Mira Lucy get hit in the chest. As she fell to the floor, the future star mage coughed up blood. Everyone yelled, Mirai Lucy. Lucy ran to help her future self right away. Hang on. We can fix it. We can, Lucy began saying as Mirai Lucy gave a headshake. Forget it. For me, this is the end. I'd like you to know that I never shut the gate. Mirai cried out in pain as blood poured from her wound and covered the floor. I don't think you would. Why did you save me? Lucy yelled as tears started to come out of her eyes. Because if you die, I might disappear. Even if it didn't happen, I couldn't let you die. Mirai told me. Hey. It's strange to see yourself die right in front of you. What an odd feeling. Please don't die. Lucy made a plea. No problem. I'm fine with it. Mirai Lucy answered. Why? Because we were able to meet. Everyone got to see me again. She said with a weak smile, it makes me happy. Lucy. Happy cried as he flew to be with Mirai Lucy. Mirai raised her weak hand and patted Happy on the head. Why are you so sad? I don't come from this place or time. Right there is your Lucy. So there's no reason to feel sad. Lucy continues to be Lucy. I'll be sad about your death, of course. You're our friend. We love you. Happy said something that made everyone cry. Stupid cat, Mirai said with affection. She then looked back at herself in the past. Lucy, please let me see your guild mark. Everyone was shocked to see that Mirai Lucy's right arm was just a stump. You're on the right. Lucy said something quietly. Natsu, look. I got a fairy tale. Natsu and Wendy couldn't stop shaking because they were so angry. How nostalgic. It makes me think of so many things. All of us have memories. I can't wait to see all the fairy tale people again. Her eyes slowly started to close as tears slowly fell from them. Take care of the future. That was the last thing she said before Mirai Lucy died. So she didn't know she had shut the door. Future Rogue muttered out loud. Lucy got mad and glared at the person who would become the Shadow Mage. Is that the only thing on your mind? You goddamn prick, I would never shut that fucking door. Future Rogue's eyes got narrow. Perhaps not now. You will, though. And I'm done with that. You've lost your mind, haven't you? Lucy cried out. Loke was angry and tried to attack Rogue, but he was quickly thrown back. Loke. As long as you're alive, there's a chance that the gate will shut. Your actions. What I did. Fate decides what everyone does. Future Rogue yelled as he shot Lucy with a lot of shadows. Wendy and Natsu said, to hell with your fate. As they sent a flood of wind and fire to block and cancel out Rogue's attack. We decide our own fates. But if you really want to. Wendy began. We'll have to just burn it away. Natsu was done. We promised to keep the future safe. The two killers shouted with pride. Lucy, get out of this. As he kept staring at Rogue with teary eyes, Natsu gave him an order. But Lucy started walking before Mira grabbed her and pulled her and Yukino along. This isn't something we have time for. Just leave this to Natsu and Wendy. Don't forget that you and Yukino need to see Hisui Heim. The rescue team started to leave with Loke and Exceed carrying the Garo Knights. Wendy and Natsu were not with them. You won't make it out of here alive. As he ran towards them, Future Rogue yelled, no. But Wendy and Natsu quickly stopped him and pushed him back a few feet. You have no place to go. Future Rogue roared, but Natsu and Wendy stopped him. So stay put, you bastard. Future Rogue gave the two killers a look of irritation. I knew you'd get into my Natsu, but I never thought Wendy would do this. But, you are not at all like the person I knew. Guess that just shows that the future is never set in stone. Wendy answered back. It doesn't matter if you die here or during the invasion, Rogue said as he drew back into the shadows. Natsu kept his eyes on the shadows and asked, have you always been like this? Rogue said, it's been 7 years. Everyone changes. Not like this, Wendy said in response. Future Rogue yelled, now die, you too. Shadow daggers. Tenryu no Kaiten. Wendy called on her sky rotation to defend herself and Natsu against the attack. Future Rogue laughed and gave a smirk. Impressive. You took someone important to us, Natsu said in a quiet voice as a fire and lightning aura surrounded him and Wendy went into her drive mode. As the two killers ran toward their enemy, Wendy yelled, so get ready to die. Gah. Rogue muttered after Natsu gave him a quick uppercut to the stomach. Before he could figure out where he was, Wendy appeared right above him and yelled, Tenryu no Saiga. Wendy roared as her sky talons sent Rogue sliding down the hall. Ryu no. Tenryu no. Hoko. The two Dragon Slayers yelled as they threw their signature attacks at Future Rogue, who didn't try to move out of the way. The Future Slayer just crossed his arms and laughed as the attacks came at him. Fools, he muttered just before fire, lightning, and wind surrounded him. The two Slayers who had changed looked at the cloud of dust they had made with their attacks and waited for their opponent to show up. They knew that wasn't enough to hurt him, let alone kill him. Even so, when the dust settled and they saw Future Rogue in the middle of the explosion with no injuries, their eyes widened. How the hell are you not injured? Natsu and Wendy yelled. Future Rogue replied, I told you before, you fools, that people change after 7 years. Whether it's been 7 years or not, there's something wrong with you, Wendy growled with disgust on her face. What did you do to yourself? You smell like dragon meat. Hee hee. Ha 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 ha. So you noticed that, huh? Well, since I'm going to kill you both anyway, I'll be nice to you, Future Rogue said with a twisted grin. I knew I needed to be stronger than I was, so I killed Sting and took his magical power and the lacrima in his body. This gave me the power of White Dragonslayer magic, but I also found something else. The soul of Acnologia was in Sting's body. What? Asked the two killers in shock. His dragon was inside of him? Natsu yelled in shock. How in the world did his dragon get inside of him? They said they killed their dragons to prove they were real slayers. So, what the heck happened? Wendy was just as surprised by what she heard. Why would his dragon be in his body? Wendy yelled as she had a light bulb moment. There are our dragons. On the inside. Ding, ding. Give the girl a reward. Dark Wendy made a fake cheer and said, yay. You knew this all along? Yes, but Wendy, this is not the time for it right now. After this dark, we will have a long talk. Hi. No matter what. Now, let's get back to the jerk. That's right. I never found out why he was inside him because it didn't matter to me. So I ate his soul and did the same thing to Skiadrum's soul, which was living in my soul. Then I used my newfound power to kill several weaker dragons and eat their flesh to get even stronger. Natsu and Wendy were shocked and scared when they saw him. Natsu said in disgust, you are sick in the head, as the Future Slayer shrugged. I'll do anything to reach my goal, Future Rogue said. Soon, a black and white aura surrounded him. But enough talking, let's keep going. Natsu. I know. Rogue, Natsu, and Wendy all moved quickly forward at the same time. Karyu no. Tenryu no. Hakueryu no. Tekken. Fire, wind, and shadow-white shockwaves rippled through the area of the hallway in huge waves that tore the area apart. Wendy tried to hit Rogue with a Skyclaw while Natsu tried to hit her with a Fire Talon, but Rogue just jumped back into the shadows. This made Wendy and Natsu growl. I'm sick of this cheap trick, Wendy muttered in anger. Same here, Natsu said with a grimace. When they turned around, they felt a sudden shift, and Future Rogue had jumped out of the shadows behind them, his arms filled with shadow and white magic. Future Rogue yelled, White Shadow Pulse. Two fairy tale mages groaned, Gah, as they slid across the floor. Both of them roared as they used their magic to stop the attack. Wendy and Natsu then rushed forward and threw a bunch of attacks at Future Rogue, but he was able to easily block and counter each one. Future Rogue said, "You two are strong, but you don't know how to work together." Then she grabbed Wendy's arm and Natsu's leg. Wendy growled and tried to give Rogue a roundhouse kick, but Rogue just ducked and slammed Wendy to the ground. The slam caused the Sky Dragon to fall into a crater and cough up blood. Natsu yells out in worry as he gets ready to attack with his free hand. Rei and Ryu no Hoken. Natsu yells as he prepares to launch his next attack, but Future Rogue grins as he lets go of Natsu and makes a black portal between them. Future Rogue said, "Black Mirror," as the breakdown fist was taken in by the portal and disappeared. Wendy jumped at Rogue after getting out of her crater. The Future Slayer only had to raise his hand, and Natsu's Hoken came right out of the black portal and into Wendy. Wendy's eyes got big because she didn't have time to move. She crossed her arms and got ready for the hit. Wendy gritted her teeth as she was slammed into the wall across from them by the Hoken attack. The fire and electricity were burning her, and she felt like she was on fire. "Wendy?" yelled Natsu, shocked and confused. "Oh, Natsu, you're attacking your friends? I thought fairy tale mages were above that." Natsu turned to look at Future Rogue with a glare. "What did you do?" he yelled angrily. Black Mirror is a spell that only Shadow Dragon Slayers can use. It absorbs attacks and sends them back to my enemies. "But our rogue never did anything like that," said Future Rogue. "That's because the fool has never stopped trying to take his dragon-slaying magic further than what he was taught, just like the rest of you. None of you have ever tried to truly master your art. So far, Wendy is the only one who has taken her magic further than what she had in her arsenal, but you all still fall below me." Natsu roars, "We'll see about that," as he lunges again at Future Rogue. At the same time, Wendy coughed to get some air, and blood, spit, and bile came out of her mouth. Burns from the attack made her skin feel like it was on fire. Even though nothing permanent had been done, it was still very painful. "Hey, are you still up for more?" "Yes, give me a minute to catch my breath. We shouldn't laugh at these burns." "Yeah, Natsu isn't a weakling. Don't worry, I'll send you some of my power to help you get better faster." "Thank you. I might need to use that." "You sure?" "Not that it bothers me, because I want to rip that jerk off just as much as you do, but are you ready to show that side of you? After this, there's no going back." "I'm ready," Wendy said as she started to get back up. "Heads up." Wendy's head shot up as she narrowly avoided an attack that would have pierced her head. She looked up too late to see Future Rogue punch her in the air with an uppercut. Future Rogue suddenly appeared above her and grabbed her head as a white and black aura surrounded it. Future Rogue yelled, "White Shadow Eruption," as he slammed Wendy into the ground. A pillar of white and shadow magic shot up from the hole made by the impact. Natsu yelled, "Wendy," because he was worried about his fellow Slayer. He rushed forward to help her, but he gasped in pain as several shadow swords stabbed him through the back and into the wall. When he looked down, he grunted in pain and saw that his shoulders, palms, and upper thighs had been stabbed, and blood was coming out of the wounds. Natsu bit his teeth together in pain as blood ran down the sides of his mouth. He looked up at Future Rogue, who was shaking his finger at him like he was telling a child what to do. "Now, Natsu, wait your turn. I'll get to you soon," he told her before turning to Future Lucis' dead body. "But first, let me get rid of this trash, which is starting to bother me." When Natsu heard this, his eyes got big and he started to fight against his chains. "Stay as far away from her as possible." Future Rogue gave him an amused grin as she looked at him. "Why are you so protective of a dead body? She's just trash." "I killed her like trash, and now I'll get rid of her body like trash," Rogue said as he charged his hands with magical energy. Natsu stopped as everything around him began to slow down. Everything went dark and quiet, and he could only hear his heartbeat. "Lucy. I have to go." Natsu screamed as he tried to break free of his chains. "Move, damn it. Why? What's wrong with me? I couldn't beat Ghidorah without Lucy. I had to eat a Therion to fight Jellal. I would have died without Ghidorah's help against Laxus. Gildarts messed with me. I couldn't do anything by myself against Hades, and Acnologia treated us like pests. Why can't I win without help? Why can't I save my friends and family?" "Protect the future," was the last thing Future Lucy asked before she died. "No. I'm not going to stop here. If I don't win, this won't mean anything. I'd like to win. I have to win. Natsu roared in his head as something broke inside of him. Natsu's eyes went away as they turned a deep blood red color. Rogue was about to shoot Lucy when he stopped because he could feel a dark magical energy building up behind him. He turned his head, then jumped to the side to avoid a swing to his face. The attacker's arm hit the ground, sending a few pieces of debris flying into the air. Future Rogue moved a few feet away and looked up in shock to see who had attacked him. But something didn't seem right. He had changed in a way that no one had ever seen before. His hair was more wild, and there were a few blood-red streaks in it. His arms and legs looked much more evil than they did before. His hands and feet turned into sharp claws and turned blood red. His eyes were also blood red, but their pupils were yellow, and his body was putting out black and crimson flames from different places. Rogue of the future took a critical look at this new change. Wait, what is this transformation? You never did anything like this in the timeline I came from. Do you have a new power in this timeline, or did you just need a trigger to make this happen? As the flames kept coming out of Natsu's body, he just kept staring at them. I am going to kill you. Future Rogue laughed and tilted his head. Ho? You stole my most valuable thing, so I'm going to kill you. Future Rogue said, that's a little dark for you, but I'm not one to talk, and then she motioned for Natsu to come over. Then show me you want to kill me by coming here. Natsu barked, and then he was gone in a blur. Future Rogue opens his eyes wide and crosses his arms in front of his face to block a right hook. The attack hit so hard that the duel slayer slid across the hall. He opened his eyes wide as his arms were pulled apart. When he looked up, he saw Natsu Dragnil's angry face. Natsu threw back his head and took a deep breath. Rogue's eyes get big because he knows what's going to happen. As Natsu roared, Juhakaryu no Hoko, curse fire dragon's roar. A stream of black and red flames ripped through the hallway. Rogue showed up a few feet behind Natsu. He was shocked to see how much damage his attack had done. His roar cut a hole through the whole hallway, and everything around the hole melted and ran down into the hole. I can't believe how easy it was for him to melt the stone around the hall. Rogue thought, he could never do something like that before or in my timeline. Then he jerked and looked down, where he saw burn marks on his arms. He made my arms hurt. Who exactly is he? When he looked up, Natsu was facing him and roaring, with black and red flames shooting out of his body. Future Rogue smirked. Future Forg said, okay, fine. I'll make you laugh, as his magical energy shot out of his body. His hair got out of control and started to stick up and look kind of spiky. The right side of his body turned completely black, while the left side got a few white scales. Future Rogue looked at his opponents and said, White Shadow Mode. Show me your dance moves, Natsu Dragnil. As the two charged at each other, Natsu roared. Juhakaryu no Tekken, curse fire dragon's iron fist. Natsu shouted as he threw a flame-covered fist. Future Rogue fought back with his iron fist covered in white and shadow magic and said, Hakueryu no Tekken, white shadow dragon's iron fist. As flames and shadow light magic rippled across the arena again, the two iron fists hit each other. Natsu tried to slash Rogue's face, but the duel slayer disappeared into the shadows and reappeared a few feet away from him. Then, Rogue slapped his arm, and Natsu grunted in pain as something hit his shoulder. When he turned around, he saw a white blast hit his shoulder. As the wound slowly got better, he turned to Rogue. Rogue was interested. He said, it seems like your powers are demonic. Then he smiled. Too bad for you, but the holy nature of my white slayer magic is a strong counter to you. As Natsu ran toward him, he growled. Rogue just smiled and then vanished in a flash of white light. Natsu let out a grunt as a cut in the shape of a cross appeared in his chest. He turned to glare at Rogue, who was smirking. He charged forward and attacked quickly, but Rogue blocked each one with his white slayer magic-covered arms. You may have power, Natsu Dragnil, but it looks like you don't know how to use it. White Lance Barrage. Rogue said as he fired a flurry of lances that pierced Natsu's skin, making him scream in pain as he skidded away a few feet. Natsu was about to stand up when he looked down and saw a white magical seal. White Pillar of Destruction. You're done. Ha 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 ha. Go into oblivion, Natsu Dragnil. Natsu growled as he raised his fist and charged his magic into it. He yelled, Juhakaryu no Hoken, curse fire dragon's breakdown fist. As he slammed his attack into the seal, the sigil cracked, then broke into pieces. Rogue was shocked. What? You broke the sigil with your bare hands? Natsu glared at future Rogue and growled. He was about to attack if he didn't get hit in the side. Natsu screamed in pain as he fell to his knees and held his side. He looked up at future Rogue's glare and gave it back. I wouldn't let go if I were you. My attack blew off all your skin and some muscle tissue, which is now causing you to bleed heavily. Your arms are the only thing keeping you from passing out from blood loss, Natsu growled as his hands caught fire. He groused about the pain, but he kept going. Rogue was shocked to see Natsu get back up, and he saw that the area he hit was badly burned. You burned the wound to close it up, which was risky but worked. But I see I have played with you long enough. Natsu tried to attack again, but several shadow tendrils stopped him. Natsu screamed in pain, Hakueryu no Ashijinu, white shadow dragon's rough silk. As his body was cut over and over again from every side. Rogue showed up in front of Natsu with both hands over his head and white and shadow magic energy glowing from them. This is the end. White shadow execution. Yelled Rogue as Natsu roared in pain and a huge explosion engulfed the two of them. Wendy coughed just as she started to come to after Rogue's sucker punch. She turned around and saw a huge cloud of dust covering everything. What went wrong? You were knocked out, but Natsu kept fighting, and it looks like he snapped before getting a slight edge over Rogue. But then Rogue switched to his duel mode and started to beat up Natsu. Wendy yelled, damn it, at herself for being so easy to knock out. When the smoke cleared, Wendy's eyes got very big when he saw Rogue holding Natsu up by his throat. He said, and that's the end of that, and then threw Natsu to the side as he groaned in pain. Rogue looked up at the dead body of Lucy. It's time to finish what I started, he said. He started walking forward, but stopped when something grabbed his leg. He turned around and saw Natsu holding his foot, but he was only half awake. Wait, you can't get close to Lucy, Natsu said as he coughed slowly and glared at Rogue. You're a stubborn mage, Natsu, but this is it for you, Rogue said as he used a shadow slash to send Natsu into the wall. He turned toward the dead body and pointed at it with his open palm. The body was glowing with magical power. As Natsu yelled, goodbye, trash, Rogue fired his attack. Wendy suddenly showed up in front of Mirai Lucis' dead body and took the blast on her back. What? Asked the two mages in surprise. Rogue did nothing but sigh in annoyance. Rogue then walked over to the hurt Sky Maiden and said, you fairy tale mages are too stubborn to give up when you were winning. So, Wendy Marvell, do you have anything to fight me with? Wendy didn't say anything as she kept staring down at the dead body of the future Lucy. Her eyes were dark. You were Nakama, Mirai Lucy. You were my family. As she says this, steam starts to come out of her body. You'll pay for this, she said. The steam soon went away, and a spiral of dark violet energy began to swirl around her as she continued to shake with anger. Wendy lifted her head as dark whisker marks appeared on her cheeks and black slits appeared in her blood-red eyes. I'm gonna kill you. As the spiral of energy started to move outward, Wendy's magical power kept going up. Rogue took a small step back as he could feel the energy leaving. What is this power? It's so dark and evil. It's not like the eclipse or even my own. It feels even darker than what Natsu was letting out. It's so vile and disgusting that it makes me feel afraid. At the top, the spiral started to come together, making the head of a big fox with ears like a rabbit's, razor-sharp teeth, and blood-red eyes that stared down at future Rogue. Down below, Wendy's hair started to get a darker shade of blue, and steam came out of her wounds as they slowly healed and went away. High-speed generation? WHO, is this female? Wendy turned and gave Rogue the most hateful look she could muster. Her hands and feet started to get claws, and her teeth got sharper as fangs and a purple aura started to come out of her body and wrap around her. Her magical energy continues to rise. Rogue thought, that's off the charts, but he stopped when he heard someone laughing. He turned around and saw that it was Natsu. What's so funny? You're so screwed. You're about to find out how powerful Wendy really is when she's mad, the power she got from her father. Let's see how you handled this. Rogue turned around and saw that the change was almost done. The aura had wrapped around her like a cloak and taken the shape of a fox with wings on its back. The dragon on her chest was the thing that stood out the most. "Are you ready?" Wendy muttered to herself. "Ready as soon as you are. Now make some noise." Wendy and Dark yelled, "Sky Dragon Queen mode." As the extra energy leaked out of her body. Rogue put his hand over his eye because Wendy's power was so strong. He looked to see if Wendy had left. His eye widened as a powerful right hook hit him in the face and knocked him back. Rogue skidded on the ground for a few feet before he was able to stop. He looked up and saw Wendy already on top of him, ready to attack him again. Rogue hides in his shadow as Wendy's cloaked fist breaks the ground where he was standing. Wendy barked when she saw that her prey had again gotten away. She was sick and tired of playing cat and mouse with him. He tried to grab her ankle, but she quickly stood up behind him. This was a mistake, though, because when he pulled his arm back, he saw that the skin on his hand had burned off and that he was slowly healing them with his White Slayer magic. Wendy turned quickly and cut at Rogue's unprotected chest. Rogue jumped back, but Wendy still managed to cut him. He could feel Wendy's cloak burning him. Wendy lifted her arm, and the cloak came out in the shape of her arm. She grabbed Rogue's leg and pulled him back. "You're not going anywhere, except for a one-way ticket straight to hell." Wendy yelled as she raised her other arm and magical energy began to gather into a familiar sphere that was covered by a second violet sphere. Future Rogue yelled as he gathered white and shadow magic into the palms of his hands, "You think I'll let you hit me with that and not fight back? Don't be so stupid. Tenryu no Kyubi Rasengan, nine-tailed spiraling sphere of the Sky Dragon. Holy Shadow Dragon Fang Flash. Unison Raid. Kaboom." When the power attacks hit each other, there was a huge explosion, and shockwaves again tore through the hall. When compared to the other explosions, this one was so big that it caused parts of the ceiling to fall down. Wendy and Natsu were thrown into the ground near the body of future Lucy. Wendy and Natsu groaned as they walked back slowly. Wendy was still wearing her cloak as she tried to figure out where she was. "What went wrong?" "You were beating up on that emo jerk, and your blows hit each other, causing a huge explosion." "Ah. I can still hear the sound of the explosion in my ears. I think you should end this soon. Since I don't think the hall will last much longer." Wendy looked up to see if her partner was right to be worried. The ceiling above them was broken in a few places, and chunks were missing. She could see that the whole place was shaking and that small pieces of debris were falling all around them. She had to move quickly. "Hi." When she saw the shape of her opponent, she glared at him. Future Rogue only had small cuts and scrapes, and the burns on his arms were the worst of his injuries. But as the burns slowly went away, the arms were covered in a pale light. Once his arms were better, Future Rogue tried them out. Then he looked up and gave Wendy another one of those annoying grins. "I must say, Wendy Marvell, you have really exceeded my expectations. I will admit that I have been underestimating your abilities. I never thought the youngest of the Slayers would have such a dark and evil power. It reminds me of Zeref. I wonder where your father got it from." Wendy snarled at the comment, and Natsu got up and started punching the air. "You're not going anywhere, Rogue," swore Natsu. "We'll see," Rogue said, showing a familiar necklace. "But first, I have to ask. What do you think this means?" When Wendy looked down, she saw that her necklace was gone. This made her eyes widen. Natsu and Rogue had to cover their eyes as Wendy started to let out more of her dark power, making the cloak boil even more like water in a pot. "Give that back before I rip out your intestines and tie you up with them." Rogue had a laugh. Rogue laughed as he broke the necklace. "Oh, that's a threat. Let's see if you follow through," he said. Wendy's body froze when she saw what Rogue had just done. One of the few things her father gave her that would last. Now, she had lost one of the few things that tied her to him. All for the sick pleasure of this jerk. Wendy let out a terrifying roar as dark violet shockwaves shot out of her body. She yelled, "You bastard!" as she lunged at future Rogue with Natsu close behind. During this time at the Eclipse Gate, Akame-chan and Karome-chan, stay close to me at all times. "We have to finish getting ready for the dragon invasion," Hisui said. "Hi, Haim-sama," her two bodyguards said. Darton thought, the gate will finally be opened. Let's all keep an eye on what Hisuiheim wants until the end. "Keep an eye on us, Arcadios." Najenda asked one of her reporting officers, has anyone seen dragons coming toward the capital? The soldier said, no, ma'am. No one has seen it from the east, west, south, or north. She asked, how are the evacuations? Things are going well, ma'am. Nearly all of the civilians have been moved to safety shelters outside the city's borders, and the evacuation is going well. As Hisui looked at the gate in front of her, she sighed. I really hope we can finish this with one blast. It would take years to fill the Eclipse Gate with magical power again. The fairy tale rescue team was hiding behind some bushes and shrubs a few feet away from her and the gate. Loke was the only one who wasn't there. He left so that his magic wouldn't be taken by the gate. We ended up right at the Eclipse Gate, Lucy said. The rest were watching the troops get ready for the 0 hour by rallying together. Mira looked at the group of Garo knights who had joined them. They were still watching in silence. She asked, how are you guys? Battered, but we'll get by, Kama said. Kamika said in an annoyed voice, I never thought we'd be saved by criminals. Cosmo sighed in a sad tone and said, how humiliating. Don't worry so much. Now that we've kicked your behind, we can hang out and have fun together, Happy said with a smile. The 3 Garo knights looked at the Exceed as if he had grown extra wings and heads. Kamika asked incredulously, where the hell did you get that idea? Oh, come on, Happy said. A lot of our enemies turn out to be our friends. The other fairy tale leaders nodded in agreement. Mira happily agreed with the knights, and Yukino, who was sweating and looking at the rest of them, said, he's not wrong. You can come out now, Darton asked as he looked at the bushes where the team was hiding. Before coming out of their hiding place, the group jumped. What? The Garo knights? Wait, why are 2 of them missing? I don't know what went on. As Hisui walked up to the stellar mages, she said, Lucy-san. Yukino-san. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you. Once this is all over, I'll give you a proper apology. Also, congrats on winning the Grand Magic Games. Winning? The fairy tale mages were shocked to hear. When their guild won, they quickly got over their shock and started cheering. Hisui asked in a curious way, why exactly are you here? She thought they would have gone to meet the rest of the guild. Do they still live here? To make sure the gate is open. Lucy asked the princess, why are you opening the gate now if no dragons have shown up yet? Simply put, preparing and opening the gate takes time. If we waited until the dragons showed up, we wouldn't make it in time. Hisui looked down and bit her lip as she thought, can this eclipse cannon kill 10,000 dragons? I can't promise anything, so my father, His Majesty, is getting ready for the worst case. Central Square. I'm sorry to all of you who took part in the GMG and want to party, but this country is in danger and I need your help. 10,000 dragons? Makarov muttered in shock. Naruto, I now understand why you kept this a secret from everyone else. Will we be able to make it with you on our side? Evergreen asked in worry, we couldn't do anything about Acnologia. What are we supposed to do against 10,000? Well, to be fair, Acnologia is more of an exception than the rule, Lisana thought. Still, 10,000 won't be a walk in the park, Kana said with a slight slur. Urza thought to herself, so this is what our father was telling us about. She looked up to find him, but when she couldn't find him, she frowned. Someone called her name before she could say anything. She turned and smiled when she saw 2 people she knew coming toward her. Wally. Show. Urza said happily as she hugged the 2 of them tightly, and they did the same for her. Long time no see. They said. As the 3 looked at each other, they let go of each other. Urza told her, you're looking good. I'm sorry we didn't meet up sooner, but the last few days have been crazy. Urza laughed and gave a nod. Yes, and things are only going to get worse. Anna and Irene were talking about the coming invasion at the same time. So we were right. This does have to do with the Eclipse Gate, and I told them not to use it again, she sighed and shook her head. Honestly. Irene patted her on the back and smiled at her to make her feel better. Anna smiled back to show her appreciation. Irene asked Anna in a curious way, why don't you talk to the royal family? You know them. They seem pretty set on opening the gate, so I doubt they'd listen to me, Anna said. Irene frowned when a bad thought came to her mind. Don't you think? It's possible, but we'll have to see. And if the worst happens? Irene asked Anna, whose eyes were burning with determination as she looked at her. Then we'll fight. Before Irene could answer, they turned around and saw their guild coming toward them with 4 Cerberus. Anna-sama, Irene-sama, Kagura said, then proudly added, we are all ready to fight. The members of Quattro Cerberus and Mermaid Heel cheered, wild, yeah. To show that they agreed. Anna and Irene had to laugh a little. The 2 guilds seemed to be getting along well. Arana teased, just remember that we're the hot ones. Sayla spoke up as she walked up to her 2 mistresses. Anna-sama, Irene-sama, she said. Have you heard from Naruto-sama? She asked in a worried voice. She hadn't seen him near his wives, and she hadn't seen him since the end of the GMG. Anna and Irene both shook their heads in sadness. Not yet, replied Irene. Sayla lowered her head, worried about where Naruto might be. Irene and Anna both saw how sad Sayla was and gave her a hug to make her feel better. Anna told Sayla, don't worry, I'm sure we'll see him very soon. Sayla nodded and enjoyed the warm hug. Dragons, Sting muttered. It makes sense for us to get involved, said Rogue. Fro thinks you can do it. Rufus asked, where is the lady? The one who killed Lightning laughed. What do I look like? Her keeper? Like you'd ever get that right, a voice from the crowd said. The people in Sabretooth turned around to see the people they were missing and their new leader. Lord Minerva, Master Dobangle. All the guilds are working together, Ren said. What a lovely scent, Ichia said as she was done. The members of Blue Pegasus all said at the same time, a battle of mythical proportions. It's been a long time since we last worked together, Leone told Gray. Just don't slow me down, Gray said with a smirk. Leone replied with a smirk, that's funny. I was going to say the same thing. Sharia said as she looked around for her fellow Sky Mage, where is Wendy-chan? Is she okay? She gave her a pat on the shoulder. Yes, Wendy is fine, and don't worry, you'll see her again soon. Hi. Sharia cheered, a little red in the face. When Juvia felt a jolt go up her spine, she went stiff. I can feel love in the air. She thought to herself. The King of Fury bowed his head to all the mages in the square and said, I know this is a lot to ask, but we can't beat these dragons by ourselves, canon or not. Help me save our country by working with us, magic guilds. I need your power to fight these dragons. Of course. Leave it up to us. We won't let these monsters destroy our home. We live in this country that grew with magic. Again, the king's eyes filled with tears as he bowed in thanks. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kabu. Nearly everyone in the square said, what? As they looked at the king in a funny way. Near the square, on a cliff. What a mess, muttered Doranbolt in disgust. All of these wizards are in the same place. Lahar started, Eclipse Gate, by saying, its very existence goes against at least 30 different laws. He soon started rubbing his temples because he was getting a headache. He turned to his partner right away. We need to get in touch with the Council of Magic. Lahar. Doranbolt. The two turned around to see a familiar escaped mage standing in front of them. Jellal. They yelled in shock, and then they quickly put up their guard. Doranbolt asked Jellal, why are you? With a sharp tone, but Jellal wasn't scared. But before he could say anything, someone else showed up. Relax you, idiots. When the three of them turned around, they saw a familiar blonde mage come through a dark portal. Jellal said, Naruto, as the other three kept looking at the new guy. Naruto gave Jellal a sign with his hand while rolling his eyes. Jellal nodded and turned back to the two councilmen, saying, go on. I need a favor from you too, Jellal said. Lahar and Doranbolt looked at each other and then back at the stellar mage with worry in their eyes. What do you want? Lahar asked. Jellal sighed as he said, we need you to bring the Oracion cease here. What? Shouted the two councilmen in shock. Are you nuts? Why would you? Lahar was about to say, but Jellal cut him off. There are going to be 10,000 dragons here, so we need as many dragonslayers as we can get. The Oracion are also powerful allies who can help us grow our army, and Cobra might be more willing to listen if you bring his allies with you. You could also ignore us and let the country burn to the ground, Naruto said with a shrug. Your choice. Lahar and Doranbolt glared at the two annoying people before giving up and sighing. Fine. Naruto was about to say something else, but he couldn't finish because he was holding his chest in pain. He grunted, Gah. As he leaned down because he was in pain. What's wrong, Naruto? Jellal asked in worry. He knew that Naruto was the only way for anyone to make it through the night. So seeing him hurt really put an end to his hopes. I felt a sharp pain in my heart. Something is wrong. I can feel it in my bones. It's like. Naruto says as he comes to a horrifying realization. Anna. Naruto stood up quickly as he called up a way to get to his wife. The three mages were confused, but they shook it off and got back to work. As he came out of his portal, Naruto called out, Anna. Like he thought she would, his wife was also holding her chest in pain. Irene called out, Naruto. As her husband walked toward them. He asks, is she okay? With worry, but Irene just bites her lip. I don't know. She was fine a second ago, but now she's doubled over in pain and holding her chest. What did Naruto do? Feel the same pain? Naruto nodded. Yeah. He grabbed Anna's shoulders and pulled her close to him, letting her relax in his warm embrace. Anna, he says in a low voice. Anna took a shaky breath to calm down from the pain she was feeling. She looked up at her husband with tears in her eyes and a look of pain on her face. Naruto, something is wrong. I can feel it in my bones. Something has happened to the girls. Please go help them. Naruto nodded. I promise I will get them, Naruto said as he called up a dark portal. Anna and Irene quickly kissed him on the lips and told him, please be careful. Naruto said, I will, as he jumped through the portal. Eclipse Gate. Look, the moon is starting to turn red. An eclipse. The same day that your dragons disappeared. Today is the day when the dragons will show up again. It's 12 o'clock, open the gate. Hisui said. Lucy muttered, finally, the gate is opening, as she watched the big doors open. Natsu and Wendy are back. Wendy asked, what's going on? As she looked around and saw that the whole hallway was shaking. Natsu asked, what's that noise? Future Rogue gave a smirk of victory. The gate is finally open, but that girl will find a way to get in the way and shut the door. Wendy yelled, shut the hell up. As she planned her next attack. Lucy never would do that. Yes, that's right. Lucy would never destroy everyone else's future. Said Natsu as he opened his jaws and took in fire and lightning. Future Rogue laughed at him. HMPH. It's not like either of you can stop me. He started to inhale for a roar attack, but stopped when several glass orbs appeared around him. Flash forward. Yelled a familiar voice, and the orbs shot forward and attacked Future Rogue from all sides. When they turned around, they saw two people they knew. Natsu was surprised and said, Ultir. Merity. The two women of crime Sorcière smiled at them and then turned back to where Rogue was standing in the dust cloud. When the smoke cleared, Future Rogue was no longer there. Merity asked, wait, where is he? With confusion, but Natsu and Wendy snarled in anger. That jerk got away, they grunted. Ultir and Merity looked worried and wondered what they could do to make their allies feel better. Lucky for them, help came from right behind them. That doesn't matter right now, he says. Wendy and Natsu's eyes widen as they finally calm down a little. When they turned around, Naruto was coming out of a hole. Daddy, Wendy said in her usual voice as her face went back to its normal shape. Naruto walked up to them quickly and gave them a pat on the shoulder. He asked, are you two okay? Yes, but. Natsu started, then turned back to look at the dead body of Mirai Lucy. Wendy clenched her fists in anger and looked down. Naruto frowned as he looked up at the dead body of the older stellar mage. I see, he said in a low voice. Naruto shook his head when Natsu said, we need to go after him. Not now. Before Natsu and Wendy could argue, he put up his hand to stop them. I know how you feel, but I need you two to go outside with everyone else. The gate is opening. Kiraja. Naruto shouted as both slayers were surrounded by green auras as their wounds were healed and their magical reserves were restored. Natsu tries out his healed body while he thanks Naruto with a nod. Thanks, and now I'll go after that jerk, Natsu said as he went through the portal as it closed again. Naruto and Wendy just looked at each other. He was going to say something, but Wendy said something first. Sorry, Naruto said. This made him blink. Why did she say she was sorry? Wendy answered his question before he could even ask it. Because I lost the necklace. The look in Naruto's eyes changes as he gives Wendy a soft hug. It's okay, Wendy. I'm just glad you're fine. Wendy replied, I still lost the gift you gave me. Naruto let out a sigh of frustration. Don't worry so much, Wendy. I swear you are just like Hinata. Wendy couldn't help but let out a soft, small laugh. Naruto let go of the hug and said, thanks. He then opened another portal for Wendy. This portal will take you to the gate. I want you to protect your sister and everyone else there from what's coming. Are you ready? Wendy nodded, but she frowned as she thought about what she had learned about the dragons. When Wendy didn't answer right away when Naruto asked, what's wrong? Wendy looked up and her eyes showed that she was torn. She started to say, about Grandini. But Naruto cut her off. Wendy, I'll tell you once this is over. I promised you, remember? Wendy smiled as she went through the closing portal. He looked at Altair and Merity. You guys should go as well. Well, what about? Merity asked as she pointed to the dead body of Mirai Lucy. Naruto took a deep breath and let out a long, slow sigh. Give me a few minutes and I'll take care of it. As soon as they saw Naruto's eyes, neither of them said anything. Okay, see you soon, Naruto, Altair said as she and Merity left the hallway using teleportation. Naruto walked over to Mirai Lucy as he bent down and waved his hand around the dead body. A bunch of ether nanoparticles appeared all at once and gathered in front of Naruto to form a semi-large sphere. As Naruto held the sphere in his hands and saw Mirai Lucy's last memories, his eyes turned white. Where are you, everyone? Someone help me. Natsu. Lucy screamed, Gah. In pain as her arm caught on fire. Lucy yelled, Gomen Natsu. It's gone. My guild mark is gone. As her arm turned to dust and all that was left was a stump. Something to remind her of what she'd lost. It's up to you, Lucy. You can stop all of this. Go Lucy. Levi. I'm glad I got to see you one last time. Please protect the future. As Naruto looked down at the dead face of Mirai Lucy, his eyes closed. Tears from Naruto's eyes and cheeks ran down onto her cold cheeks. Naruto said, You've been through a lot. I'm sorry I couldn't save you from all this pain, Lucy. I'm so sorry, Layla. I failed you. But I promise you, I won't fail this time. He waved his hand as Mirai Lucy was surrounded by darkness and then vanished. Naruto wiped his eyes as a blue and black magical aura wrapped around his body. Naruto stared up at the ceiling, which was shaking because the eclipse gate had just opened. This means war, and war means you need armor, Naruto said as a dark cocoon wrapped around him. Eclipse gate. Everyone. Wendy shouted as she came out of the portal. Wendy. Everyone shouted in shock and happiness. Carla ran over to her partner right away and gave her a tight hug. Wendy smiles as she pats herself on the back and says, I'm fine, in a whisper. Mira asked, Are you okay? And where is Natsu? Because she hadn't seen the fire mage anywhere. Yeah, my dad fixed me up, so I'm good as new. Natsu went ahead of me, so he should be close by, Wendy says as she looks up and sees that the gates are wide open. The opening is surrounded by a brilliant flash of light, and a huge amount of magical energy flows out of it. Wendy said out loud, So this is the eclipse gate when it's open. This is amazing. I'm shivering over here. I don't blame you. This might help us defeat the dragons. So much power is coming from just one place. We did it. Now we can save our country. It's still too early to celebrate, Wendy said as she looked at Lucy and became worried when Lucy's eyes got all blurry. She asked with worry, Lucy? Lucy didn't say anything, and she still has that blank look in her eyes as she stares at the gate. Before Wendy could say anything else, Lucy moved toward the gate. The gate needs to be shut. She screamed, What? In shock, and everyone looked at the two of them in surprise. Lucy shook her head and ran to the princess as her eyes went back to normal. Hisui Haim, you need to stop this. Close the gate. Everyone in the area yelled, Lucy, what are you talking about? Did our sister's head get a little loose? Wendy didn't have much to say against what Dark thought. What in the world did Lucy think? You can't.
This is the only thing we have to fight the dragons, and if we close it now, we're all going to die, Hisui told Lucy with a frown.
Akame, Karome, and Najenda huddled around Hisui and Lucy in case the stellar mage did something. You don't get it. This thing was a mistake, and the person from the future knew it would happen, Lucy said. Hisui and a few other people looked at her in shock. What do you mean? I got this information from my spirit, Crux. This thing is currently linked to 400 years in the past. Lucy yelled, and everyone looked at her with wide eyes. Before anyone could say anything, however, a voice came from behind them. Boom. What in the hell? What the hell was that? Boom. Oh, no. Lucy turned pale. Najenda cried, Haim-sama. As she helped Hisui get back on her feet. I'm fine. Boom. One could see a big shape coming out of the gate. A soldier stuttered, no way. Happy squeaked, why you've got to be messing with me. Boom. Now things are really going downhill, Wendy said as sweat ran down her face. Everyone in the area was now scared by the shape of a dark silhouette. It had 4 legs and was about 70 meters long. It had a large set of wings. It was a very strong creature with large, thick scales in a swirl pattern all over its body, except for its belly, which was full of holes. Last, the creature's mouth and nose were marked with sharp lines. The thing was a dragon. Nearly everyone yelled, a dragon came out of the gate? The dragon let out a mighty roar that was so loud and strong that it sent shockwaves through the area. The roar was so powerful that it threw several soldiers and mages into the air. Even the ground the dragon was standing on was torn apart by the waves of the roar. What the hell was that? I don't know. Back at the gate, the dragon lifted its right paw and then slammed it back down. After the crash, a huge shockwave went through the ground and into the city for miles, tearing apart the area around it. Gray asked, what the hell was that? It came from the castle, Leon said. Urza said, I have a bad feeling about this, and her body tensed up because of how she felt. Makarov said, this power, as he clenched his fist. Happy asked out loud, how are we supposed to fight this? Carla said to herself, damn. This can't get any worse. Boom. Look, there's another one on the way. As soon as the soldier yelled, a group of dragons walked out of the gate and into the sky. Every minute, a new dragon walked through the gate and into the night sky. She had to ruin it, Wendy thought as she watched Dark's tricks. You just had to say it. Carla could only shake her head in shame. Hisui dropped to her knees and started crying. She asked herself, what have I done? It's not your fault, princess, said Najenda as Akame and Karome tried to help Hisui. My country will always be remembered for spilling the blood of the innocent. Hisui grabbed Lucy by the shoulders, but Lucy moved in front of her. Hisui, pay attention. I need to talk to you. My fault, Hisui said once more. Lucy yelled, damn, and gave a determined look. Sorry about this, Lucy said as she put her arm behind her back. Slap. Lucy yelled, wake up. Right in Hisui's face. Hisui winced and blinked a few times because the slap hurt. Lucy? Hisui finally asked as she regained her balance. Lucy asked quickly, how do Yukino and I close the gate? As more dragons came out, Hisui turned to look at the gate. She faced the blonde star mage again. Use the keys of the zodiac. Lucy gave a grateful nod as she stood up. Lucy called out, Yukino. As she ran to the gate. Yukino said, on it. As she ran to catch up with Lucy. But another dragon came out and roared, sending the girls backwards. The 2 stellar mages yelled, Kya. Wendy yelled, I got you. As she caught Lucy. At the same time, Mira caught Yukino. You're safe. Lucy said, thank you, guys. Yukino also showed her thanks by nodding. Wendy told the 2 mages, thank us later. You need to close the gate. The 2 mages nodded and got back up to walk to the gate again. While this was going on, a lot of dragons started showing up in the night sky, making every mage nervous. Even though they had promised their king they could fight so many dragons at once, everyone was getting nervous. As the dragons roared, the sky and everything around them tore apart. Buildings shook and fell. And it did not stop. As time went on, more and more dragons came out of the gate and filled the night sky with dark, blocking objects that made the sky look dark. All of a sudden, without any warning, lightning began to fly through the sky as dark clouds surrounded it. Several of the mages looked up at the sky and yelled in shock, what's going on? Anna and Irene's eyes got narrow. The dragons didn't make this huge amount of magical energy that filled the area. This was not what I expected. Instead of someone. They both looked at each other and nodded because they had both come to the same conclusion about who was making this storm. Several of the other powerful mages could feel that the storm was not normal. The power of the storm made their teeth chatter, sent chills down their spines, and made their bodies shake. Jura said, "The heavens are getting restless, so something must have upset them." "I do not doubt it," Gildart said in response. "Yet it feels so familiar." Makarov said to himself, "It's him. He doesn't look like he wants to mess around anymore." "Then this party is going to start," Laxus said with a grin. "Ready, Yukino?" asked Lucy. Yukino nodded. "Hi." They put their hands together and rested one forehead on the other. "O celestial spirits of the 12 golden paths," they said together. "Give me the ability to stop this evil. Open the 12 gates of the zodiac." As the zodiac keys floated around the two girls and lit up with a beautiful golden light, a big magic circle appeared below the two stellar mages. 12 lights came out of the keys as the 12 signs of the zodiac, from Loke to Aquarius, came out of their gates. The spirits and their mages didn't need to say anything because they knew what was going on and what was expected of them. Right away, all 12 of them ran at the same time toward the eclipse gate's open doors. 6 spirits each took one of the two doors and started pumping their heavenly magic into it while trying to close the gate. But that was easier said than done because the door wouldn't move. All of a sudden, a huge shape flew out of the gate and into the sky. The spirits quickly went back to trying to close the door so nothing else could get out. Unlucky for them, another dragon tried to fly out but crashed into the doors of the eclipse gate instead. Now, the spirits trying to close the gate and the dragon trying to get out were in a tug of war over it. "Are you fucking kidding me?" Lucy yelled in frustration. Loke yelled in frustration, "Damn it, it won't move any farther." The female Pisces said to herself, "These dragons are trying my patience." Aquarius yelled at her fellow celestial spirits, "Come on, you fools. Put your backs to it. We can do this." Several soldiers said, "Is this the end?" as they watched a dragon try to get out of the gate. Then, without warning, lightning crackled around the night sky, which got everyone's attention. Just as the dragon was leaving the gate, a huge bolt of lightning came down and hit it with a big boom. Everyone was shocked to see how easily the dragon's head was destroyed as it fell back into the gate. This gave the celestial spirits a chance to close the gate for good before they vanished in a flash of gold. Most of the men wanted to celebrate when the gate closed, but the dragons in the sky and the dragon's sudden death stopped them. "Soldiers." One soldier said, "Yes, Lady Najenda," as he saluted his commanding officer. Najenda asked, "How many dragons came out of the gate?" The soldier gulped a few times before answering as sweat ran down his head. "Nearly 157, ma'am." When all the dragons came out of the gate, Najenda gritted her teeth. Even though 157 was less than 10,000, that didn't make everything easier for everyone. When the general was lost in thought, a loud boom woke her up. When the explosion happened, everyone turned to look at the east side of the city. Everyone's hair on the back of their heads stood up when they saw a huge, dark cloud coming at them at a very fast speed. One soldier asked, "What is that?" "Wait, I see what looks like a person in the fog," said another soldier. "Who in the hell could be in that thing?" Wendy said in a happy voice, "It's my dad." "What?" Everyone yelled at the same time. The mist landed just a few feet away from everyone as everyone moved toward the person who made it. When the dust settled, everyone was shocked to see that Naruto was standing in front of them, but he was wearing different clothes. He was all dressed up in armor. On the front of the armor, there was a picture of a red dragon with black scales. Dragons' heads were carved into the two shoulder guards, and the dragon's tail covered the guards around his waist. As he moved toward the gate, his eyes almost glowed with power as lightning continued to strike him and light up a huge cumulus cloud in the sky that looked like a dragon's head with its mouth wide open, ready to eat them. Everyone continued to look at the Dragonslayer King in awe and fear. "Whoa. Holy crap." Wendy cheered, "Tu-san, you came." As he gave Naruto a tight hug. Naruto laughed as he gave the hug back. "Of course, my dear. I did promise that you and everyone else would live to see the next sunrise, didn't I?" "Lucy Hearfilia and Yukino Agaria, you two had to get involved in things that were none of your business." Everyone turned to see future Rogue come out of the shadows. Wendy growled when she saw the person who had killed her sister. "You. Wendy was going to attack him, but Naruto held her back so she wouldn't do anything stupid. Let me go. This scumbag needs to die for what he did to Mirai Lucy. But Naruto's look told her to hold back for now. That's the man who told me about the future, Hisui said. Nagenda's eyes got smaller. So it was you who fooled the princess? Future Rogue laughed at him. It's not my fault that she and her family were so easy to trick, Akame and Kurome say as they stiffen and reach for their swords. Bastard. Kill. Though I should be thanking you all, Rogue joked with a smile. Everyone started to worry about what would happen. What do you mean? Mira asked. I mean that controlling 10,000 dragons would have been a nightmare, but managing more than 100 dragons is much easier. Several people whispered, control? As Naruto's eyes narrowed on the future Shadow Slayer. Lucy's eyes get big as she remembers. This was always your plan, right? Future Rogue smirked. He then looked at Naruto and said, that's right. I never thought I'd meet you in person, Naruto marveled. You never showed up again in my time, and you just vanished from the history books. Naruto grunted. Yeah, well, that was your time, and this is mine. I chose to stay, and I chose to fight. Fate or destiny? I choose them, and no one else tells me what to do. When everyone heard a very loud screech, they all stopped. It was so loud that all the wizards and dragons turned to see what was making the noise, and no one could believe what they saw. The thing that screamed was about 100 meters away and was much bigger than any of the other dragons in the sky. Every part of the creature was covered in golden yellow scales. It didn't have any arms. Instead, it had two big bat-like wings that were easily 150 meters long, which makes sense for something with such a big body. But what caught everyone's attention were the three snake-like necks attached to the top of the body. At the end of the long necks were three dragon heads, each with a pair of horns on top. Before it let out another bellowing screech, golden lightning started to dance around its body. The scream was so loud and strong that everyone fell to the ground except Naruto, Irene, Anna, and Future Rogue. Electric and sonic shockwaves also destroyed several buildings near the golden monster. Everyone got back up and looked at the monster in shock at how powerful it was. What the hell is that? Is that dragon? Since when do they have three heads? What is that? It's powerful, and I can feel how much it wants to kill and destroy. It's a monster in the truest sense of the word. This just got a lot harder, Irene said as she glared at the golden monster. Be careful, Naruto, Anna said in a low voice. Are you kidding me? He's here, too? Naruto muttered in anger and irritation. Wendy looked up at the monster and asked her father, Dad, who is that monster? Naruto gritted out the word, Ghidorah. Ghidorah? Asked Wendy and a few other people. Naruto nodded. You're right. It was one of the strongest kaiju dragons ever recorded. Kaiju dragon? Said everyone. Future Rogue let out an ecstatic laugh. That's right. Most kaiju don't look like anything else on Earth, but Ghidorah is an exception. It's one of the few kaiju that can also be called a dragon, and the best part is that his species is thought to be one of the strongest kaiju in the world. Future Rogue grinned at his audience. Now that he's here, my plans will go a lot better. He put his arms in the air and yelled, Listen to me, you stupid humans. The age of humanity is over. Instead, I will bring in a new age, an age of dragons. Find all the mages around the city and kill them, and then the world will be ours. All of the dragons then flew into different parts of the capital city. He's talking to the dragons? Lily yelled, he said something about being in charge. Wait, is it a spell? Future Rogue smirked. Yes, dragon tamer magic is the way to control dragons. Happy said out loud, I have never heard of magic like that. That's because it doesn't exist yet. I made it 7 years from now. I was going to use it on Acnologia, but it didn't have any effect on him. Naruto gave a snort. Of course it wouldn't, he said with irritation. Naruto started to look at Future Rogue. What do you want to get out of all of this? I want to challenge Acnologia and beat him, and when I do, I'll take my rightful place as Dragon King. Big talk, jackass, Naruto and Wendy made fun of the man. Future Rogue jumped on the first dragon that came out of the gate and sat on its paw. I'll leave it to you, Zirconis. Happy said, Hey, he's the dragon we met in the cave. Naruto let out a frustrated sigh. Another person I know. Nab yelled, "It's here." "This is a dragon?" Warren was shocked and horrified at the same time. "Its whole body is made of flames," Laxus said as he and everyone else around him got tense. Makarov told everyone, "Prepare yourselves. My name is Atlas Flame. Humanity, get ready to taste my hellfire," shouted Atlas Flame, who had just been given a name. "Gaw!" Everyone yelled when the heat waves hit them. "Hold strong, brats." Dobengal told everyone, "Sabretooth, get ready for battle." As a red dragon and a blue dragon with fins and scales landed in front of them. Sting said, "Let's do this together." As everyone attacked the two dragons. But they were shocked and horrified when the dragons came out unscathed. "What? We couldn't even make a scratch," Sabretooth said. The two dragons then attacked Sabretooth and the other mages nearby. Irene made a joke as she shot one dragon away and said, "This reminds me of the good old days, Anna." Anna laughed as she called up Lambent Light, a rapier that was her signature weapon. When one dragon got too close to her, she cut off its head with ease. Anna teased, "You sound like an old woman, Irene." Irene turned red with shame. "No, I'm not. I'm just thinking back on old times," Anna said as she and Irene jumped back from a swipe attack. "Let's talk about old times if we make it through this night," Irene said with a pout, but she didn't complain as the two went after their next target. Future Rogue said as he flew on his dragon, "Nothing will be able to stop me. Not even Acnologia can stop me." He looked at something that was standing on the top of the spire of one of the tallest buildings that was still standing. Or to be more precise, someone. Natsu Dragneel. Future Rogue muttered. "Kill him, Motherglare." The dragon raised its claw and slammed it into the spire, but Natsu used his fire magic to get away from the spire before it was destroyed. As Future Rogue roared, Natsu was right above him. Karyu no Hoko. Future Rogue just shot a dark pulse that cancelled out the fire spell. "Poor," Natsu said as he landed on top of Motherglare in response to Rogue's joke. "Look around you. None of the humans are having any luck fighting the dragons." Natsu looked down and saw that everyone was having trouble fighting the dragons. Makarov asked the people in his guild, "Is everyone okay?" As the other mages got back up, they groaned. Several of the mages said, "Barely, but yeah." Atlas was surprised that the humans had survived his first attack. "Are you all wizards?" he asked. Makarov said as he turned into a giant, "We are more than just wizards, we are a family." He then tried to hit Atlas with a quick right cross. Makarov said, "Gaw!" in pain as he pulled his burned arm back. "Master!" Everyone yelled in alarm. "Then I'll burn your bodies and your family ties." Atlas Flame scoffed, "The master's attack didn't work? No matter how strong you are, as long as you are human you will never be able to match the power of a dragon." "Damn, he's strong." Orga yelled at the two slayers, "Sting! Rogue! Now would be a good time to show us the power you used to kill your dragons." Sting and Rogue didn't look up. Sting said, "That's only half true. When we killed our dragons, they were very close to dying," Rogue said. Dobengal told them, "It doesn't matter. Just start using your magic against them." "I never thought a full power dragon would be so strong," said Sting. "But I won't let them kill our friends." Sting went into his Dragon Force form. "Ready, Rogue?" Rogue changed into his Dragon Force form. Sting nodded, "Yeah," and then looked at the dragon in front of him. "Let's go then." Blue Pegasus. Ichiya yelled, "Try my armpit perfume." Dragons have a good sense of smell, so this will make them unable to move. The stone dragon said, "Unfortunately for you, I don't have a nose." "Eh? Even after 400 years, you humans are still the same stupid but funny race." Before the stone dragon could say anything, something hit the top of its back. "Gaw! Move away, you idiots!" yelled a familiar voice. The Triman's eyes get very big. "Cobra?" Ren was confused. "But I thought he was in jail," he said. "I got a short break for being good," said Cobra, whose arms were covered in poison magic. Lahar told Doranbolt, who was heaving heavily from being tired, "You did well in such a short amount of time." The teleport mage sighed as he got back up and said, "Yeah, I just hope this is enough. I hope that we don't get fired after this. Let's worry about that after we finish what we have to do tonight," Lahar and Doranbolt said as they looked ahead with a battalion of ready-to-fight rune knights behind them. Natsu asked, You did all of this to fight Acnologia? Future Rogue nodded. And when I beat him, I'll be the new Dragon King. I only recognize Naruto as king. Neither you nor Acnologia are kings in my eyes, Natsu said. Future Rogue laughed at him. By the end of this, no one will be able to stop me, not even him, Natsu said with a smirk. You sure about that? Natsu lit his arm on fire and slammed it into Mother Glare with a big boom. Mother Glare yelled, "Ah?" in pain. What the hell? Said a few people as they looked up at the back of Mother Glare, which was still smoking. Natsu yelled to the whole city, "Can you all hear me? How about we stop kidding around and do something about this?" Natsu. Lucy said with joy. Happy yelled, "All right. There are dragons here and we have 8 dragon slayers on our side. Our magic was created for this day. Now let's go dragon hunting." I can hear you clearly, Natsu. Everyone who killed dragons thought. Future Rogue was not bothered by what Natsu said. Fools. You're just putting off what's going to happen. Mother Glare. Gra aahhh. Mother Glare yelled as a number of things shot out of its stomach. The thing fell all over the capital, where there was a dragon. What in the hell are those? Do those eggs? The eggs shook before hatching into 2-legged dragonoids that charged at all of the mages. What in the hell? They're multiplying. As if the big ones weren't already a problem, Laxus said to himself before he and Zeke turned back to Atlas Flame. Everyone, go help other people. I got the big guy. Grr, Zeke growled as Laxus smirked. Back at you, partner. Several mages yelled, wait, Laxus. You can't fight alone. He won't be. Evergreen began. Bixlow went on, he has us. Freed said, the Thunder Legion will help Laxus. But. Did you not hear what Natsu said? Mavis asked the other mages when they turned to her. Only a slayer can fight a dragon. Gajeel and Urza, go find another dragon. The rest of you, help another slayer or fight the smaller ones. Everyone nodded and split up into different groups. Urza, we'll back you up, said Wally as he and Sho followed Urza. Thanks, she said with thanks. A golden light appeared in front of them all of a sudden. Urza started to say, what the, but stopped when she saw who was in front of her. Made it in time, Jellal said with Midnight and Richard, Hot-Eye by his side. Jellal? It's already midnight? Urza exclaimed in shock. Midnight just smirked. Long time no see. Sho and Wally yelled, Jellal? In shock with a hint of anger. Jellal looked back at them, and he saw that their eyes were full of different feelings. I know you have something to say to me, but let's save that for later, Jellal told Sho and Wally, who narrowed their eyes and nodded. Brother, how great it is to see you. Richard said with joy. Everyone felt like their emotions were all over the place. Wally, on the other hand, seemed just as happy to see his older brother. Urza barked at the two, save the waterworks for after we're done. The brothers agreed quickly. Yes, ma'am. Said the two. As the group started running again to fight another dragon, Urza nodded. Ready to go, Akiza? Hi. Soon, Urza's eyes narrowed as she felt the Dragonslayer magic filling her body again. Ready, Gray? Leone asked as the two mages, Juvia, and an army of dragonoids were about to attack. I'm always ready. Before they could attack, though, a black and red streak pushed away some of the hatchlings. What the, but before they could say anything else, a familiar speed mage showed up. Ice strippers, we haven't seen you in a long time, the new person snarked. The man was wearing a black bodysuit that fit close to his skin and had red lines going down the arms, back, and legs. Sawyer, also known as Racer, was the man. Gray and Leone yelled in shock, Racer? Hey, Juvia. Merity called out in a happy voice. Merity? Yelled Juvia in surprise. Leone looked at the new person and his cheeks started to turn a little red. Cute. I love catching up, but we need to pay attention to this, Racer said as the hatchlings began to circle them again. The group of people nodded as they turned around and charged the enemy.
Together, we are going to beat you, Natsu said in a fierce voice.
Future Rogue laughed at him. You're a fool. You don't know anything about a dragon's real power. Kaboom. Everyone stopped when they heard a big explosion, both mages and dragons. They all turned around and were shocked to see a dragon falling to the ground with its head broken off. All of them turned to see that the attack was coming from the gate. Whoa. One shot and it was dead. Damn, that makes it impossible for me to get in, a woman's voice said. Everyone turned around to see a well-known stellar mage with white hair. Angel? The people in Fairy Tale were shocked to hear. Serrano ne, Yukino said in a tone of shock and longing. What Yukino just said made everyone shake their heads. The mages kept looking back and forth between the two, with their jaws still on the ground. Yukino was about to say, "Hello, little sister," but Angel put up her hand. "I know you want to talk, but we have more important things to do right now." Angel looked at Naruto, who was still looking up at the sky while the dragons in the area shook in fear and kept looking at Naruto. A soldier asked, "Are they scared of him?" "It seems that way, but why?" "That was a good speech, Natsu," Naruto shouted, and his voice could be heard all over the capital. "That's Naruto. I know that voice." "It's him," Levia said in a whisper. "So he's here, too," Scissorhead, the Marin Dragon, grumbled. Atlas said in an excited voice, "The king will also fight in this battle." The Stone Dragon said in a grim voice, "Of all the places for him to be." "You're right about one thing. We need to stop playing jokey games and get serious." Naruto looked up at Ghidorah, who was staring down at him as yellow lightning flashed around the kaiju's body. "Isn't that right, Ghidorah? That's why you haven't moved. You're waiting for me, right?" Naruto asked sarcastically. Ghidorah roared again with a screeching sound, and lightning shot out of its body. Naruto laughed so hard that he couldn't stop. "Coo." Naruto smiled excitedly at everyone and said, "I think he's lost it. Finally, my patience has paid off," he yelled. Suddenly, a huge magical aura and a geyser of blue and black magical energy shot out of his body. Najenda yelled, "What is this magical power?" as she was almost blown away by how much power Naruto was releasing. "It's mind-boggling?" Kurome yelled back as she and Akame stabbed their blades into the stone pavement to keep from being thrown away. Levi shivered when she felt Naruto's magical pressure, which he was letting out in the capital. "This magic feels like it's been around before," Gajeel says. His eyes widen as he remembers where he first felt this power. "There's just no way. I am the Black Dragon WHO represents the end of the world." Naruto started to say something as his whole body turned black and only his white eyes and mouth could be seen. "I mock death, yet I want to be in its arms." His voice started to change as wings and a tail grew out of his body. Naruto's arms, face, back, wings, and tail all had blue tribal marks on them. "I will become the Black Dragon of the end of the world, and I will destroy everything." As Naruto got bigger, it started to look like a four-legged animal, which was a shape it had always had. "Hello, I'm Acnologia. I am the Dragon King." Naruto let out a triumphant roar as he sent out a huge shockwave to get rid of his extra energy. He was about 70 meters tall at his full dragon height. Everyone who didn't know Naruto's real name had their jaws on the ground and their eyes were about to pop out of their heads. Naruto is Acnologia? We're all going to die. We're all gonna die. He wants to eat us. Acnologia turned around and saw that several dragons were destroying the nearby city. He grunted as he took a deep breath and sucked the air into his mouth. What does he do? I don't know, but do his marks look bright to me? Everyone in the area could hear a whirring sound, which meant that something was getting ready to happen. Naruto threw back his head and yelled, "Hakai no Hoko." He used his breath to hit a dragon in the middle of its body from several kilometers away. As Naruto turned his head, the blast tore right through the dragon. As the blast moved horizontally, it tore through any dragons that got in its way and caused huge explosions along the way. Naruto did a full circle around the whole capital, killing every dragon that got caught in the explosion. Because of the explosions caused by the attack, the capital was briefly surrounded by a wall of fire. Naruto turned around as a group of flying dragons came toward him. Naruto raised his arms as his forearms lit up and changed into two huge, curved blades. He smiled in a wild way. Destruction blades. Naruto let out a roar as he cut a dragon in half, then easily cut another dragon in half. Then Naruto tried to cut off the head of a third one, but the dragon's jaws caught the blade. Another dragon held the other bladed arm while a third dragon tried to attack Naruto from behind. However, Naruto's stinger tail quickly stabbed the dragon in the heart, killing it. Another rushed to hit Naruto in the chest because he thought he was now weak. Naruto turned off his blades, grabbed the two dragons by the throats, and in an instant, crushed their necks. When the frontal dragon was about to strike, Naruto's eyes lit up. Solar flare. A bright flash made the dragon lose its sight. Then, something strong and sharp bit down on the dragon's throat. No matter how hard it tried, it couldn't get away from the strong jaws that held him in place. Crunch. Snap. Squelch. The dragon tried to fight back, but Naruto crushed its neck and tore its jugular into ribbons as the dragon's body fell to the ground. Naruto bit into the muscle tendons and tissue in his mouth as blood ran down his chin. Naruto couldn't help but laugh, and it came out of his throat like a monster. Ha 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 ha. How could I have missed this? The blood. Carnage. I haven't had this much fun in far too long. Come you worthless man-eaters. So I can remind you of WHO is your king. A large group of man-eating dragons flew in all directions toward Naruto to overpower him. Naruto's eyes seemed to shine with happiness as the tribal markings on his body lit up again and blue electricity danced around him. He laughed as Naruto yelled, "All vanity." He called them fools. Naruto was surrounded by a dark blue energy sphere before he fired many energy lasers in all directions, hitting and killing every dragon that happened to be in its very wide range. As the bodies of many dead dragons fell around Naruto, he let out a roar and a burst of energy that broke up the bodies of all the dragons around him. As he turned to face Mother Glare and Ghidorah, Acnologia let out a loud roar of victory. Everyone was amazed by how much damage Acnologia could cause. They knew he was strong, but this was more than they had ever imagined. Are you fucking kidding me? He just killed more than 1/3 of them without even sweating? Damn. I called that firepower. Laxus commented. Gildart said, I wouldn't expect anything less from that slimy jerk. Sugoi-to-san, Urza said. Several people said out loud, he's incredible. His power is scarier than I ever thought it could be. He beat so many people on his own. We might have a chance now, said Najenda, who was still in shock. The angry future rogue snarled. So Naruto has always been Acnologia, huh? So, this doesn't change anything. This is my chance to get rid of him and anyone else who might try to stop me from being Dragon King. Before making his roar attack, Mother Glare turned its head back. A stream of Eternano was coming straight at Naruto. But the Dragon King wasn't impressed. He hit the roar with the back of his clawed arm and sent it flying into the sky, where it exploded and lit up the sky for a few seconds. Is that all you fools can come up with? You'll have to do more to hurt me than that. Mother Glare was angry that a former human was talking to him in that way, so she growled. This made Naruto laugh. Before Naruto could make fun of Mother Glare again, he had to avoid a bolt of yellow lightning. When Acnologia looked up, Ghidorah was looking down at him with a sneer. Naruto smirked. Oh, you must be itching to fight me, but don't worry, Ghidorah, you'll get your fight. Naruto turned his attention to a certain spot on the east side of the capital. Anna. Irene. Acnologia told his wives to come to him. Don't you think you two should come up here with me? Of course we will come with you. Irene replied as a dark pink magical aura wrapped around her. Anna smirked. After all, what's a king without? She started. His queens. They said at the same time as Irene changed into a dragon and Anna rode on her head. Kick ass Anna Samam. Everyone from Mermaid Heel cheered, Irene Sama. Did Irene just turn into a dragon too? What else can happen? Irene said to her co-wife, Anna, I think it's time to call him. Anna laughed as she looked in her pockets. Yes, I do believe so. Anna took out of her pocket a platinum celestial key with a gold crown carved into the bottom. Open the gate of the cosmos, Celestial Spirit King. Anna yelled as a huge magical sigil appeared in the night sky. As the seal fell to the ground, a pillar of energy shot out of it. The well-known figure of the Celestial Spirit King came from this column. I've come because you called me, the king said in a royal voice. EHHHHHHHHHHHHH? The king of the spirits of heaven? She has the key for the king? Lucy cried out. Even better, why does this Anna woman look like Lucy? Many mages, mostly from Fairy Tail, yelled. Yukino said, I can't believe it, when she saw the king. Holy shit, Angel said. The king of the heavens turned to Acnologia. It's been a very long time, Naruto. That's how it was. Old friend, are you ready to fight with me again? My friend, I've been waiting for 400 years. I won't ignore it now. Naruto. Irene spoke up. I know Irene. Acnologia and Irene put their claws up in the air. Battle enchantment. Dragon's blessing. A huge green magic symbol appeared in the sky and spread out over the whole capital. All of a sudden, every soldier and mage in the capital are surrounded by a green magical aura. What's going on? I feel incredible. Hey, my guild's mark has changed. Mine too. Right now it looks like a dragon. It feels like one of my enchantment spells, but much stronger. Listen up, mages. Irene and I just did a magic spell that changed all of you into dragon slayers. So, basically, your normal magic can hurt a dragon. Seriously? It's great that we have a chance. As Naruto looked at Ghidorah, he sighed. Now then, there's just one more thing to do. Listen up, my sleeping brothers. Wake up from your sleep and fight again for your king. Awaken now, my elemental kings. Naruto roared as a green glow appeared on his chest, which he and the other people didn't know about. The glow went away again. Gah. Natsu moaned in pain as he dropped to his knees and grabbed his stomach. What in the hell? What's happening? Ghidorah hissed in pain. What's this? A kneeling Sting grunted. What's going on? Said Rogue, who was in the same situation as Rogue. Future Rogue's eyes got smaller as she realized who it was. So that's what he does. Natsu was confused as he looked up at Future Rogue. What are you doing? Natsu. A familiar voice spoke. Natsu sat up when he heard the voice. What? It's time for me to wake up. My king wants to see me. We all have to answer his call. Igneel. What are you saying? What are you doing? Natsu said quickly as he looked back and forth, looking for Igneel. Natsu grunted again, and his stomach started to light up. Gomen Natsu. The fact is. So that's right. You were always there. Wendy spoke quietly. Please forgive me, kid. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't think you were ready yet. But that's no longer important. Ka-san, Wendy said as a pillar of sky blue light shot out of her body. Grr, Ghidorah growled. Just as stubborn as ever. Ghidorah's eyes widened. Ghidorah muttered, Metallicana, as a green and black pillar of energy came out of his body. It's been a long time, Sting. You've changed. As have you, Rogue. Acnologia, Sting said as a white column shot out of his body. Skiadrum, said Rogue, who was just as shocked, as a black and violet beam shot out of his body. 5 dragons came out of the 5 pillars of light. Exactly the same dragons that had been gone for 14 years. The same dragons that the 3 dragon slayers were looking for and now found. Naruto said he would tell them where they were, and now he has. Igneel, Metallicana, Grandini, Acnologia, and Skiadrum have all come back after being gone for more than 10 years. Everyone just stood there in shock, unable to believe that another bombshell had just been dropped. Gildart said with a smirk, damn, that guy knows how to keep his word. Are you ready, my brothers? Acnologia asked as his allies cheered and roared in agreement. Then, my wizards and dragons. To battle. Acnologia said this as he charged Ghidorah as the golden kaiju came down to attack him. Now, the battle between the dragons and the mages had really started.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.